The first time I came to a meeting for worship, I thought I had wandered into a group of people who actually believed that God was still able to speak directly to them. Like I remember saying, oh my God, this is Pentecost. I couldn't believe that these people think God is actually going to speak to them. I'm down for this. Like this is where I belong. Okay, so I'm Ayesha Imani, and I live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm a member of Germantown Monthly Meeting and the Fellowship of Friends of African Descent, and I worship at Ujima Friends Peace Center in North Philadelphia. So an unprogrammed meeting, you come together expecting the Spirit to show up, hopefully not knowing exactly what form that would take. However, we tend to be culture-bound people, too. And after hanging out with Quakers for a while and being one of only a few people of African descent, it became clear that there's the waiting on the Spirit, but there's also the requirement to the Spirit that you can speak to me, but only in certain ways. Please do it in complete sentences. Please use standard English. Right? And then when I rise and I share, I'm going to share in the way that I've been taught to communicate. You may find yourself having difficulty really being free in the Spirit. And it seemed to me that there was this liberty of the Spirit that really was at the root of Quakerism. But as Quakerism developed, and developed amongst a particular race and a particular class over time, different from the class that it started with, then Quaker meeting began to kind of perform itself in a way that was very cerebral and reflected the cultural orientation of the white middle-class folk who had gathered. And though I found that to be a rich experience, I also believed that I wasn't operating in the liberty that the Spirit had set me free in. Not that people there were doing something that they were supposed to do differently, but that I was not following the Spirit in the ways that I was always led to because I was afraid of not being accepted. And therefore, saying, let's put a call out to friends of African descent or people who might come into community with one another and have different expectations of how the Spirit expresses herself. The Fellowship of Friends of African Descent is a community of Quakers of African descent who came together in about 1990. And I think we came together just to see whether there were more people who looked like each of us individually, because there's so many friends of African descent who are in meetings where there's just one of them. But we believed that just our coming together would be something that A, would be historic, and B, we believed it would be powerful. And it was. We met at Pendle Hill, and our first worship was 3 hours. And I don't think we wanted to stop then. It was like really and truly coming home in terms of finding this space in the Spirit where we really felt that we could be who we were and that we could just open the ancestral floodgates and allow our experience as a people to enter into this worship space. When we began to come together, we began to experiment with freedom. That it was okay to laugh when someone was funny. That it was okay to say amen or ashe. That it was okay to clap your hands or click your fingers. that it was okay if someone started a song for you to jump in with some harmony on that. That it was okay to stand up or to sit. That it was okay to fall down on your knees and raise your hands like in praise. It was all okay. So we're still on that journey of saying, you know, there's a liberty of the spirit that we've been given, and we also want to give that liberty back to God. You know, and as God has made us free to say, God, you can cut up a little bit in this space. You can be free in this space, right? You don't have to be limited by these particular cultural expectations, right? Because I do believe that it wasn't over with the book of Revelation. It's not a Genesis to Revelation kind of thing. That the Spirit is real, and that the Spirit still wants to engage us. And if we are just open, that amazing things can happen.
I'm here in the little studio where QuakerSpeak gets edited within the Friends Journal office in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Just wanted to say thank you for watching this QuakerSpeak video. We release a new video every Thursday, and you can click on the button over here to subscribe to the channel. You can support us for as little as $1 per video. That button is just below me. You can see all the videos we've ever released in this playlist down here. Thanks again for watching, and have a great Thursday.